What's going on? This is Austin Zabak with another YouTube video, and in this video we are going to talk about the entrepreneur's emotional roller coaster. And maybe you're watching this video right now and you're not an entrepreneur. You're just out there working a 9 to 5, or maybe eventually you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to start a business, or you want to do something that is emotionally draining. In this video, we're going to talk about essentially that roller coaster, and I'm going to share with you why it's so challenging, but I'm also going to share with you how you can overcome it, right? How you can actually begin to reprogram your subconscious mind to overcome the roller coaster of emotions that are associated with becoming an entrepreneur, a business owner, or really doing anything challenging for that matter. And we all know that feeling, right? The feeling of the roller coaster, and you know what I'm talking about. Something similar to this, but essentially it's where you get really high in the highs and you get really low in the lows, and your emotions are kind of, you're not really in control of the emotions, right? As a matter of fact, your emotions are, in a sense, in control of you. So, by the end of the video, I want you to learn how to manage your emotions so you can be a happier, healthier version of yourself. Now again, this applies to you whether you're working a sales job, whether you want to become a better husband, or whether you are an entrepreneur or a business owner. So essentially, I just want you to become better overall and learn how to reprogram that subconscious mind that we've been talking about. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button to help the YouTube algorithm push this video in front of more people that need to see it. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so as you can see here, I have drawn out the entrepreneur's emotional roller coaster, and you guys have probably seen this graph or something very similar to this in your lifetime. Most likely on Instagram or on Facebook, okay? And essentially, if you can't read it, I'm gonna read this to you really quick so you can understand what I'm talking about. It starts out with, I'm excited, right? And you're up here. And then it goes, this is hard, right? And like, by the way, this can happen in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, especially if you're an entrepreneur, okay? Like, I think some people, they look at this graph and they're like, Austin, like this literally, like I go from I'm excited to like this is hard to it's working all in a matter of like a half an hour, okay? You're not crazy. We're gonna talk in this video about why that is, and then again, how you can reprogram your subconscious mind to kind of not avoid the actual journey, but essentially how you can learn how to manage your emotions better and actually learn very specifically how to get out of the reaction, okay, where you're reacting to things, and how you can actually begin to start looking at things a bit more objectively, and you can pick and choose your feelings and your thoughts, and you can start to take control of your life again, okay? So we're gonna go over here to it's working, and then literally, I mean, again, this could be 30 minutes, it could be 30 days too. It goes both ways, right? So, and then it's like, oops, like, didn't mean to screw that one up, right? And then right after that, it's, I got this, life is good, okay? And then shortly thereafter, it's, I think I'm going bankrupt, man, this is not going good at all. Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you're still watching this video. I know you do. And then right after that, it's all good, man. I don't know why I get so down on myself. I can't even believe that just a short minute ago, I was thinking that I was going bankrupt or that I didn't have anything figured out because I'm on top of the freaking world. I can't even believe that that was me a minute ago, right? And then immediately after, it's like, oh crap. I can't even believe that I thought I was so high because life actually sucks. Frickin' big fat monkey balls or something like that, okay? So, excuse my language. And then right after that, it's wait a minute, everything works out for the better, right? Everything works out great, it's all good, life is good, I'm succeeding, I'm successful, right? I'm a good leader, I'm a good boss, I'm a good visionary. Essentially, it's just that your emotions are constantly changing, right? So this is the actual emotional roller coaster that we're talking about. But what I want you to understand really quick before we kind of dive in to a few other things is that essentially this is the actual journey. Okay, so again, before we're talking about emotions, okay, I want you to be very clear that this is emotions, okay? So these are your emotions, but this isn't actually the journey. Now, the journey can at times look somewhat very similar, but that isn't the actual journey. What the journey is is actually over here, but this is what a lot of people think it is, right? A lot of people think that success is linear, meaning that it just goes straight up, right? Success just goes straight up. But that is not the case at all, right? Success is not linear. As a matter of fact, nothing you do in your life is linear, okay? Which again, thinking that success is linear and thinking that you're going to achieve different things being linear, it kind of is the reason, okay, that it is resulting in such a crazy emotional roller coaster, because what happens is our brain, our conscious brain, thinks that it's linear. It isn't linear, so every time something happens, our emotions are tied to the thing that happened, right? It's tied to essentially like, oh my gosh, I just made $100 grand, right? And then immediately thereafter, there's another goal, and all of a sudden, the next goal seems so far away that your emotions just tank in a moment, okay? Whatever that looks and feels like. So what you've got to remember is that the actual journey looks something like this right here, okay? Which is kind of crazy to think about, because you think that like it's just going to be sunshine and rainbows, and man, I'm just going to start this business, right? I'm going to start this Amazon FBA store, or I'm going to go out and build a Shopify store, or I'm going to start an ads agency, or I'm going to get into real estate or the ATM business, or whatever it is that you're going to do, thinking that, okay, here I am now, and here's where I want to be, right? But in reality, it's more like here you are now, here's where you want to be, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens along the way, okay? As a matter of fact, don't click off of the video, because in just a short moment, I'm going to explain to you how you can get through this, okay? And what you can actually do, and give you a couple of action steps to get through this. But understand that this is mandatory. It is a part of the process, right? There is no avoiding the journey. Now again, whether we're talking about the journey of financial success or physical success, okay, or mental success or spiritual success, no matter what it is that we're talking about, you're going to have a journey that looks something like that, because we live in an imperfect world. We live in a world where there's constantly things happening, and we can't control things that happen, right? Because that is just the way that it works, right? But what we can control is our emotions, okay? And up until this point in your life, if you are still watching this video, I would imagine that you're not in control 100% of your emotions. Rather, your emotions are in control of you. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to focus on habits and not goals. Okay, so I'm going to write this down. First and foremost, thing that we're going to do is focus on habits and not goals. And now, I know that you're probably thinking right now, but Austin, at the end of the day, if I don't focus on goals, then how am I ever going to achieve anything? Look, like we talked about a minute ago, and I'm going to go back. The problem with focusing on goals is that you're always looking into the future. You're saying, look, when I make $100,000, then that is the moment right there that I'm going to be happy, or that I'm going to be fulfilled, or that this thing is going to be achieved. But if we put all of our energy and all of our eggs in the basket of the future, right? Then what ends up happening is that every time you hit that goal, there automatically becomes a new goal, because we're human. It's human nature, right? We're humans. So what happens is that you get on this emotional roller coaster where all of your eggs are in the basket of, man, when I then, right? When I blank, then blank. And the problem is you're never actually able to practically have anything now, today, to actually be happy about and to have your emotions a bit more neutral. So what we're going to do essentially is we're going to focus on habits rather than goals. Now automatically, by getting in the daily habit of waking up early, or going to sleep earlier, right? Or not drinking alcohol, or whatever those habits are, you're automatically going to achieve the goal, because again, consistent habits over the course of time will allow you to achieve the goal. So again, the main thing here is just to focus on the habits, not the goal, understanding that the habits will actually get you to the goal. Again, this does a lot for you emotionally and mentally. What it allows you to do is actually have small victories day in and day out, because essentially you're saying, hey, if I can go to the gym today, right? I'm not thinking about tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day. If I can go to the gym today, right? If I can eat healthy today, if I can have a better relationship today, then that is a habit that I'm adding on top of, right? I'm building a brick foundation. And so therefore, you're actually able to have happiness and fulfillment today, okay? Which is what I want for you right now, okay? So we're gonna focus on habits and not goals. And number 2 is that we're going to have realistic expectations. Now, I know you're watching this and you're like, Austin, but at the end of the day, if I have realistic expectations, then how am I gonna dream big and achieve big? Because I've got to have unrealistic expectations, and I know what you mean, but I'm here to tell you, look, I'm not a pessimist, okay? The last thing I'm going to say is like, lower your standards. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm a total optimist, but what I want you to understand is that by having realistic expectations, you're going to actually be able to, again, achieve that fulfillment that you're looking for, which is going to allow you to keep your emotions a bit more neutral, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. Just remember, doing anything new is very hard work, right? Starting a business, going out and getting in a new relationship, right? Or becoming an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're trying to do that is a new thing in your life, it is hard work, okay? Nobody ever said it was going to be easy, right? They just promised that it would be worth it. For example, don't expect to be making millions of dollars before you even go open an LLC, right? You have to have realistic expectations. That's all I'm saying here is that understand that there are steps that you need to take in order to become successful in whatever it is that you're trying to do. So, don't have this standard for your life that is like, in the time frame that this standard is in, is unrealistic to the point where you don't hit it, and all of a sudden your emotions are like this crazy emotional roller coaster, because it's like, wait a minute, you were never, unless you would have won the lottery, you would have never hit that in a million years, at least not in the time frame that you set it upon yourself. Just keep in mind that expectations lead to hurt and frustration, right? There's a saying that says, love doesn't hurt, but expectations do. What essentially that means is that love in itself actually doesn't hurt, right? You've ever gotten out of a relationship or somebody broke up with you or whatever, it didn't work out, and it's like, man, that really hurts. My heart, I feel heartbroken, right? It feels like it really hurts really bad. And the reality of it is that isn't actually the case, right? What is the case is that your expectation of the other person, of what you thought love should be, and it not meeting that expectation is actually what hurt, right? The emotional challenge, the emotional thing that was attached to that, right? The hurt was the fact that it didn't meet your expectation of what you thought it should have meant. But again, it should have been neutral to begin with. You shouldn't have had maybe such high expectations, or maybe you should have, and the fact that you're hurting is just the coping mechanism, which is actually not a horrible thing, which we'll talk about in another video. And last but not least, what you're going to do is you're going to embrace it, okay? You're going to actually embrace it. What does that mean? It means that you're going to embrace the fact that life is a journey, right? You're going to embrace the fact, because again, understanding that this is the expectation, right? The moment that you can say, okay, the expectation is this, then what happens is you now have a realistic expectation, right? That is a realistic expectation of how it is going to look. This is an unrealistic expectation, right? So I'll go ahead and actually put here unrealistic expectation, okay? Because if you go into success, right, with a realistic expectation, okay, this one's unrealistic. I'll say unrealistic expectation. And again, this one is a realistic, right? If you go into success with a realistic expectation, then your emotions aren't going to be all over the place, because you already know that it's going to be hard, right? And if you know that it's going to look like this rather than like this, then when this happens in your life, it isn't going to come by surprise, right? So what we're doing is we're actually reprogramming our subconscious mind to say, hey, look, we know the journey is going to be tough. And we're going to what? We're going to embrace it, okay? We're going to say, okay, the journey is going to be tough. The process is going to be tough, but I'm going to embrace it, right? I'm going to focus on the daily habits. I'm not going to focus on the goal that's so far out that I can't measure it, or I can't be happy today because the goal is still a month out or a year out or whatever it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to focus on the daily habits. Those are going to make me happy. Those are going to drive me. These are what I'm going to get my fulfillment from. These are what I'm going to stack up all these small victories. And then again, I'm going to have realistic expectations. So what ends up happening is this, and I'll draw it out, and then I'll end the video here. If you haven't already, like the video, okay? So what ends up happening is, look, your emotion, your journey and your emotional roller coaster is going to look like that on some level, okay? It just is, right? That is the reality of life. But the goal here is to keep your emotions. If that is the journey of life, your goal would be to keep the emotions right at the center, right? Meaning you don't ever want to get too high in the highs, and you don't ever want to get too low in the lows from an emotional standpoint, right? You make 100 grand or you make $1 million, you don't want your emotions to come all the way up here. You want to keep your emotions neutral. You want to be happy, you want to celebrate the victories, but you do want to keep your emotions neutral, right? And if you are going actually bankrupt and things aren't going in your favor, then again, as unfortunate as it is, you have to realize that right after this comes this, right? And you have to know that your emotions need to stay right here because you're on the verge of a comeback, right? After every setback is a comeback, and you're on the verge of that. And if you tell yourself that, subconsciously, you will start to reprogram your subconscious mind to keep a neutral state of emotions at any given time throughout your life, which I'm telling you, no matter what it is that you're trying to achieve, maintaining a neutral state, a neutral emotional state is the best thing that you'll ever do. You will stay grounded. You will live in the present moment. You will stop living in the future, right? You will stop living in the past. You will begin to be present right here, right now, and you will have a ton of joy, a ton of peace, and a ton of fulfillment in your life. I'm telling you, if it worked for me, it will work for you. And again, I've struggled with this in my life, so understand that it is a struggle. You're not going to get this perfect tomorrow. It is going to be a battle. It is going to be a struggle. That is okay. You can embrace that too. Again, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, click the like button, drop into the comment section down below what you would like to see in a future video, and I look forward to seeing you there.